Making American Government and Politics Tenable, presented by citizenu.org. Today we'll be looking at Congress. We'll be looking at our legislative branch. We'll be looking at the critical words that help us understand Congress. First, when assessing our legislative branch, we must look at the differences between the House and the Senate, the differences between a cup and a saucer. The House of Representatives acts with passion. It's ruled by majority will. The Senate, on the other hand, tempers these passions. The Senate deliberates. The Senate often tempers the majority through its more deliberate style. Our bicameral legislature was divided for reasons other than compromising between big states and small states. The House represents the passions of the people. It was directly elected. The Senate responds to these passions with reason, originally appointed by state legislatures. The differences between the House and the Senate, differences between the cup and the saucer. Congress, our legislative branch, makes laws. The following 10 words will make our Congress more understandable, more tenable. The Necessary and Proper Clause. There is a reason the Necessary and Proper Clause has been dubbed the Elastic Clause. This constitutional provision has allowed the Congress and subsequently the government of the United States to expand far beyond what the founders had envisioned. It is necessary and proper for we the people to decide whether or not the Congress abuses its authority. The Necessary and Proper Clause. Is the Elastic Clause a formal or informal power? Does it matter? The amendment process. Our founding fathers understood their limitations. For this reason, they included within the Constitution the means to change it. The amendment process mirrors the separation of powers, checks and balances, and federalism. Though imperfect, our Constitution continues to teach those willing to notice an enlightened civics lesson. The amendment process. Why did the Founding Fathers include ways to change the Constitution? Should they have made the amendment process easier? Constituent Service. Few know that much of the time spent by legislators is devoted to constituent service. Constituents are those citizens who live in a legislature's district. Constituent service is often criticized because it shares a lot in common with campaign activity. Members of Congress serve their constituents in part to help their chances of being reelected. Constituent service. Explain why congressmen today spend more time on constituent service and less time on legislating. Gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is another word for redistricting in a way that favors one party over another. The state legislatures are authorized to redraw their congressional district maps to reflect the new population numbers. Often this redistricting involves political choices. Lines are drawn to pack partisan support, guaranteeing almost certain electoral victory. This act of political skullduggery is called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering. An old rule in politics said, "To the winner goes the spoils." Isn't gerrymandering the same thing? If gerrymandering is so bad, why don't we change it? Leadership. Amongst the electorate, political parties may be weak, but inside our Congress, they have never been stronger. The leadership structure inside the legislative branch is built upon the strength of political parties. The political party with the most seats wins all of the major leadership positions. The most important leaders are the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader in the Senate. Throughout our history, these leaders have wielded tremendous power. As one speaker used to say, go along and get along. Leadership. Leadership in Congress is given over to the majority party. Is there a better way? Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of our system of leadership. Log rolling. Log rolling is as old as politics itself. Log rolling is vote trading. Without log rolling, less would get done inside Congress. Our Constitution was a byproduct of great compromises. Our form of government persists because of even more great compromises. Log rolling. Compromise and horse trading has always characterized democratic politics. Explain advantages and disadvantages of log rolling. Franking. Franking has come to symbolize just another incumbent advantage. Franking gives members of Congress free postage. When members of Congress freely send their constituents updates on their legislative accomplishments, it certainly advantages them when campaigning. Any way you look at it, franking helps those in office stay in office. Franking. Franking has come to symbolize incumbent advantages. Should measures be taken to reduce incumbency? If so, how? Legislative process. Congressional rules make the legislative process difficult to navigate. The vast majority of all proposed bills fail. For a bill to pass, it must move through both houses in exact form. The House limits debate and is encumbered by strict rules. The Senate is more open but often requires a supermajority vote due to the filibuster. Legislative process. Rank the legislative hurdles from least to most formidable. Why do you suppose the legislative process advantages the opposition? The iron triangle. Iron triangles, or issue networks as they are now called, are not easy to understand. Public policies are a byproduct of relationships between congressional committees, related interest groups, and specific executive agencies. Iron triangles become entrenched in time and help explain why it is so difficult to reduce the size and scope of the national government. Iron triangle. Explain how iron triangles help and hurt the workings of American government. Commerce Clause. The Constitution's enumerated power to regulate all interstate commerce has been used to expand the size and scope of the federal government. Congress uses this provision more than any other to justify its regulatory prerogative. The Commerce Clause continues to be at the epicenter of political debate over the role played by our government in our lives. Commerce Clause. Explain how the Commerce Clause has been used to expand the scope of American government. What role do the courts play in this? Making American government in politics tenable. Today's theme, the legislative branch, the Congress, presented by citizenu.org.